BT with the BT Aragon Gp review. Let's get right to it. I don't mind those are my crutches, and I use those for insurance purposes. But you know what this episode basically gonna be about? This is gonna be the Jan Brady episode of my review because it's all about Marquez. Both of them actually, both of them. I mean, this is like a double Marquez feature. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Mark being the good, and Alex being the bad and the ugly. And we're gonna get to that later. But first, you know how we do. Let's go to Moto 3. Moto 3, heartbreak, believe it or not, my heartbreak goes to David Alonso. I've never seen him shit the bed like this before. You know what? I think it was like one of those boxers that it's like Mike Tyson. He would win in the first 3 rounds. Remember his first 5 years of fighting, no one could hang with him, and then all of a sudden, it came into a 12-round fight against somebody good, and it was like, oh shit. And that's what happened to Alonso. I don't know what it was. He had a 3-second lead at one time, or two seconds, and then he lost the race. Alonso rarely ever shits the bed, but he did this time. But hey, it happens to the best of them. So my heartbreak goes to David Alonso. My ride of the race goes to Luca Lunetta. Luca Lunetta, exactly. I never mentioned him. You know why? Because he's with the Paolo Simucelli team, and he raced with the number 58. And I got to give Paolo Simucelli credit. I really do, only because he's still involved in racing, really involved in racing. If he bowed out and you never heard from him again, you'd understand. But he's still, it's like that guy who coaches t-ball, and his son is already in high school, but he still coaches t-ball. You got to give him credit for that, really. So Luca Lunetta, man, never heard of the guy. I mean, I've heard of him before, but he had the ride of his life, actually. So props to Luca Lunetta. Good to see new blood, and props to who I was almost gonna give ride of the race to Jose. Antonio Rueda with his little chubby cheeks. I can't call him the babyface assassin because I call everybody the babyface assassin, but he's so cute, got the little chubby cheeks. Props to him for getting his first win. We'll see if it does anything, but I still think David Alonso is going to win this thing. But hey, let me tell you something. Watch Colin Vieira. Let's see how he comes up. He keeps getting the podium. He's got to finish ahead of Alonso. He's got to win at least 3 more races, and they got 8 more to go. So he's got to start running the table, and it starts now. So we'll see how he does. Anyway, Moto 2. Listen, for heartbreak was pick him out of a hat. It could either go to Aaron Canet, Sergio Garcia, or Fermin Aldeguer, and I picked Aaron Canet only because he almost crashed, and then he crashed about 50 yards later. I mean, it's not funny at all, but somebody please watch over Sergio Garcia. He's doing the same thing he did in Moto 3. Listen, and they say it's because he didn't get selected to go to Moto GP. Listen, personally, I think, yeah, you kind of could have selected, but win on the track. If you keep winning on the track, as Steve Martin would say, be so good they can't deny you. And you can't just have it affect you mentally. I'm glad they said it, though. It did affect him mentally. You can't just have it affect you mentally and then act like all is good. How do you expect MotoGP bosses to go, okay, if you get frazzled in Moto 2, why should I give you a ride in MotoGP? Because you think you're fragile now, you wait till you get on a MotoGP bike and all that pressure behind you. So it's not good for you to shit the bed now as a kid. Get it together, Sergio. Somebody get him a sports psychologist, or basically I can get my mama to come over and go, hey, get it together. My mom will do that. She did it to me. I'm sure she'll do it to a little Spanish kid. But still, get it together, Sergio. You're still good. You're still leading the championship. My ride of the race for Moto 2 has to go to Dennis Anchu. God bless you. Dennis Anchu's been through a lot with the injury and everything. Had somebody replace him for a little bit, but he came back and got a podium, man. Props to Dennis Anchu. God bless you. He gets a podium and he gets ride of the race, in my opinion. But hey, you know what we're here for? We're here for MotoGP. Like I said, it was the Marquez show. The Marquez double feature, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's get to the good first. What Mark did this weekend from the very beginning, there's a lot of pressure on him. He got sick of hearing 1,043 days, this and that, and he acted like he wasn't sick of it, but he was sick of it. But Mark being the pro that he is, man, props to him. And let me tell you something, that track was dirtier than a cop who turns off his body cam. Like, I'm about to get my ass beat. And that track beat everybody's ass but Mark. Ask Pecco Bagnaia. Pecco Bagnaia's weekend went from bad to worse to, God, can we just go the fuck home? And that's what happened to Pecco. But let's go to Mark first. Mark dominated from beginning to end, and no one can explain why he likes those left-hand turns. It's like me. I don't know why I like women with dirty feet. I just kind of do. But anyway, Man, that was way too much for you guys. But anyway, listen. Props to Mark for what he did. Did anybody out there cry? I think Deb, you cried. I think you said you cried. I wanted to, but I was just so happy for Mark. Only because even if you don't like him, take your emotion out of the game and realize he's got 8 world championships. He could have easily walked away. He's got all the money in the world. At least I hope he does. I mean, he could be a gambler. We don't know what he does with his money. He could go up his nose. We don't know what he does. But he's got a hot woman, and I think they're in love. And when you're in love, everything's happy, and you got the championships. At some point, maybe when you're rolling around the gravel, you go, well, why am I doing this? But he's still doing it, and he's still chasing greatness. So you got to respect that. For him to do what he did this weekend and dominate like he did, right of the race, you got to give it to. And MVP for this weekend is for the fans. For any Marquez fans, we were the MVP this weekend because we got to witness greatness at its best. I don't know about you guys, but before the race, I was like, the whole time I was like, and I'm glad they had that camera on Marquez, because I don't know about you guys, but whenever they don't have the camera on him, and you see where there's a yellow flag, and then you kind of hear it in on the commentary, and somebody crash, you go, please don't let that be Mark. And it's Mark, you go, fuck. So I'm glad they had the camera on him at all times, and Mark did the damn thing. Props to him. Like I said, I was so happy that I didn't cry, but I had that feeling in my heart, man. Props to him. And let's get to the heartbreak goes to Pecco Bagnaia. Pecco just had his weekend from bad to worse to let's just go home. And I want to know what you guys think. Was it Pecco's fault, Alex Marquez's fault, or was it a racing incident? Take your emotion out of it, which is hard. I'll give you that. It's like when your kid gets in a fight and you're watching it the whole time and you're going, you know what? My son did push him, but fuck it, that's my son. You know. My dad said this, and I'll say it again. My dad told me, he goes, when I played football, American football, and he goes, see, listen, if you my son, I'm gonna love you because you're my son. But if you ain't worth the shit, I'm gonna tell you, you ain't worth the shit. And today, you wasn't worth the shit. And that's what happened, basically. And that's all I want you guys to look at, like that incident. And I said, and nobody said it better than Tony, my buddy Tony. Hope I'm not butchering your last name. Noli. Anyway, he said it best when he goes, anybody's race knows when you're coming and you're turning right, you look into the corner, you don't see shit on the left. And I got to take it from him. Because listen, I'm going to say this right now. I've done track days. I continue to do track days once I come back from this. Insurance people, when I come back from this, I'll do track days, and I suck. Okay, I haven't even got my knee down yet. But my only thing is this: I'm asking for a friend, Tony, anybody. Wouldn't you hear him though on the outside? I mean, maybe you don't know where he's at. Wouldn't you hear him? Like, I think he's close. After that, I don't know what you do. I mean, I've never been close to anybody on the track day. Not that I was fast; it was I've never been close to anybody. I mean, that's how slow I was. I wasn't close to nobody. So, yeah, you guys can weigh in. Tell me what you think. Racing incident, Marquez's fault, or Pecco's fault? And you know what it boils down again? It boils down to Rossi and Marquez, because next week they're going to Italy. I mean, goddamn, Alex, for all the time for you to piss off the Italians, the week before you go to Italy is not the time to do it. Let me tell you something. I love Silverstone. I love all the tracks. You know me. I love Spain with a passion. I love Spain. But nobody sets it off like the Italians. They're crazy. They got good food. The fans are into it. And I just hope Alex is going to be safe. I mean, it boils down to it's the Marquez's versus Rossi. I mean, that's Rossi's backyard, literally. Because I've been there before. And it's literally close to his backyard. And if Rossi's going to be there, all bets are going to be off. I have it down as a racing incident. I do. When I first saw it, I go, oh, man, that's unfortunate. Because it was like, Alex went wide, he was right, and he went wide, and then he got the corner coming up, and he goes this way, and then all of a sudden he goes, oh shit, he's there. But like I said, didn't hear him, but like Tony said, you don't see shit on the left-hand side. So tell me what you guys think. But all I gotta say is, man, as far as the actual racing goes, there really wasn't too much to say. But props to Johann Zarco. He's probably the only guy I can give props to because everybody else kind of shit the bed. It was good to see Pedro Acosta, but I'm going to say this right now before I forget. I'm kind of mad at Pedro Acosta and Jorge Martin because it was Mark's moment. He was having a great time, and he wanted them to put their helmets on and have fun on the podium, and they didn't. And I don't know why, but that pissed me off to no end because it was Mark's time, and he was having a good time. They got a podium. I mean, Martin, you increased your lead on everybody. But what made me so mad was that Mark was like, put your helmet on. And Pedro looked at him like, what? And Martin was like, and I mean, I'm talking, it pissed me off because Mark was having a good time and they pissed in the punch bowl is what they did. And that really, I don't know, like, I still like Pedro, but I just kind of lost a little for him. You know what I mean? Like, anybody else? Because they felt like Mark it was like, you're at a party, and it's like somebody starts a fight at a party, and you go, really, bro? We were having a great time. You know what I mean? That's what it was like. It was like somebody pissed in a punch bowl, and you're having a good time. So, tell me what you think about that. I thought Mark was having a great time, and they didn't put their helmets on and have fun. And that was what it was about having fun. Anyway, listen, I know this was pretty much a Marquez fluff job on this, but that's the way I feel about Mark. I thought it was great after all he's been through. Listen, I've cried. The only time I've cried, other than a funeral or somebody dying, was when Marquez won in the Sash ring, his first victory back from before his second arm surgery, when Miguel Oliveira about to lead down to an eighth of a second, and Mark pulled that victory out. And that's what I feel about this one. I didn't cry, but damn, like I said, Marquez is a straw that stirs the drink. You can say what you want. Pecco's great. Martinez great. I mean, Pedro's coming up, which is awesome. But when it's said and done with, if Mark ain't there for the weekend with MotoGP, what do you have? I mean, you need personalities that are good. I mean, it's one thing to have a personality who's like, hey, he's fun, but you got a personality that delivers results, and that's what Marquez does. So props to Marquez. Like I said, he's my rider of the race. The MVP goes to the fans, to Marquez fans, and even if you're not a Marquez fan, you were this week and admit that shit, Stephen Bishop. And heartbreak goes to Pecco. I love Pecco. We'll see what he does in Misano. I think it's going to be great. I really do. I'm looking forward to Misano. Anyway, it's next week. Thanks for watching, guys. Give me what you guys think of the crash, whose fault it was, if there was a fault, and what you guys thought of the weekend. I thought the whole racing overall this weekend was, I say a B plus. Yeah, a B, just a B. Anyway, gotta go. Thanks for watching. Until then, bye.